A little while ago I was speaking to someone who is going through a tough time. And the reason they're going through a tough time is because they're in a relationship that is not going very well. And as a result of this, it's brought up a lot of pain in their chest, a lot of grief, and they also feel a sense of emptiness as well. And what I can tell from this is that they have a fear of being abandoned. And they probably also are carrying the feeling, the experience of being abandoned as well. And when someone experiences life in this way, it is likely to show that they were neglected during their early years. And so what they fear is also something they've experienced, could be hundreds of times when they were younger. So it's not just a fear, it's actually an experience that they're trying to prevent from taking place. And through having this conversation with them, it made me think about how much of an effect this has on so many people's lives. This is an area that I've written about on a number of occasions. I've also put a book together on the fear of abandonment as well. And what it also made me think about was how this is a challenge that doesn't have to rule, doesn't have to define someone's life. Because when someone does have the fear of being abandoned along with the emotional experience of being abandoned, they can end up staying in relationships that are toxic, to say the least. So instead of leaving, they can stay in something that has basically run its course, or they can have an issue with what is going on in the relationship, but they can end up saying nothing because they fear that if they do speak out, the other person will pull away and even leave them. So they can end up walking on eggshells and losing themselves to avoid losing their partner. So having boundaries, asserting themselves is then going to be a huge challenge, because their greatest need is not to express who they are. Their greatest need is to make sure that they always have someone in their life to prevent their deeper pain of feeling abandoned from coming up to the surface. And along with the fear of being abandoned and the experience itself can be a deep sense of being worthless. And this is because when they were a child, it wouldn't have been possible for them to see, right, my parent is not here because there's something going on for them, or because they've got issues, or whatever it was. They would have thought, my parent is not here, or my parent keeps leaving me because there's something wrong with me. Because obviously they were egocentric at this age. But even if they were at the age where they could think, it would have been too painful for them to see that the reason my parent isn't here is because they're not up to the job, because they've got issues. That's too much, and that would have taken away their sense of control. So by believing it was them, even if they had no control, at least they would have had the illusion of having control, and therefore they would have been able to do something about what was going on. And when someone does have this fear, they can end up making sure that there's always someone else nearby, so that if this relationship does end, they can quickly end up in the arms of someone else. And this can also set someone up to have affairs as well. And this is because through being in a relationship, that can provide them with the stability that they lack within. So having one person there provides that external stability that they lack within. And then through going with someone else, it can allow them to spend time with someone who they're actually attracted to, without needing to worry about that person leaving, because if they do, they can still come back to the person they are officially with. So to be abandoned at this age would have been very traumatizing. And so even though many years will have passed, could be decades have passed since they were very small, this pain is still going to be in them, and it's still going to be defining their life. It would have most likely affected their brain, affected their body. And so in order for someone to no longer live a life that is defined by this trauma, they may need to reach out for external support. And the book I've written goes into the symptoms and it looks at solutions as well. So maybe that may interest you. But regardless of that, if you are going through this and you can see that it's defining your life, then it may be a good idea for you to reach out for external support. Because this is not something that has to define your life forever. It can change. But the only way it's going to change is if you reach out for support and do something about it. Because it is unlikely that anyone is just going to knock on your door and to provide you with the assistance you need. You will most likely need to reach out for it. Because you deserve to live a life that is worth living, no matter how you were treated very early on, or maybe even how you're being treated now. If you are in a bad relationship, you don't deserve to experience life in this way. So reach out for support.